Hello, everybody. Welcome to That Local Life. I'm your host, Sydney. This is Tyler.
Hello, everybody. Today we have a special guest, Dave Bunker. Dave's been a local guy. He's from Branch Enterprises. Dave, how are you?
I'm outstanding. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks for being on this podcast.
My honor, believe it or not. I've been excited.
Your kids were trying to get me on get you on for the last month, probably. They're like, "Hey, my dad would want to be on."
Oh, well, fantastic. I'll have to chastise them for that.
You will,
Yeah.
yeah. And the old crack the whip. Dave, let's hop right into it. Like, where did you grow up? Have you always lived here? What's that like?
Sure. I was actually born on my grandparents' ranch in Eagle Point, Oregon. We lived there for a while, and evidently, like most ranchers, or most ranches, they're not big enough to sustain more than one family. So
Sure.
my dad moved. I went to my early school in Bonanza, Oregon.
Bonanza.
Which is down on the California-Oregon border, south of Klamath Falls.
Okay.
We moved from there to Vail when I was in fifth grade, I think.
Huh.
And I call Vail home because usually where you graduate from high school is kind of what you kind
Yeah.
of consider home, even if you've traveled around a lot. So I call home Vail.
Okay.
I graduated from Vail. Met a beautiful young lady from NISA shortly after I graduated, and went to work for what is now my in-laws.
Oh.
They were not my in-laws at the time. I married
Sure.
the boss's daughter.
Uh-oh. Weaseled your way in on that
yeah,
one.
exactly. I don't know how much good it did me, but it's all right. But anyway, back in the early 80s, farming was, that's how old I am, by the way. Farming was kind of, the interest rates were really high. People were struggling. My in-laws were not exception. They had to lay me off. I always kind of wanted to be in the Marine Corps, so I joined the Marine Corps in February of 1982. And served in the Marine Corps for just shy of 10 years.
Wow. Thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I always kind of funny because when people tell me as a Marine,
Sure.
you don't join the Marine Corps, you become a Marine. That's their thing, right?
Sure.
So when somebody says thank you for your service, it's almost like, well, I don't remember quitting being a Marine, you know, because my service is still continuing.
Yeah.
Hey, that's fair. That's a
So
good way to look
it's
at it.
kind of just it's a thing.
Yeah.
I don't ever, I mean, people I know, and there's, you know, I talk about it occasionally, but my time in the Marine Corps is, I don't, you know, like VA or veterans benefits, you know,
Sure.
I know people who go to McDonald's and say, hey, you give a veterans discount. I don't hardly ever do that.
Sure.
I mean, I served and I enjoyed it, and the highlight of my Marine Corps was I was a Marine Corps drill instructor.
Oh, nice.
There's 3,000 men in this world who are never going to forget who I am. I can only tell
That's
you
good.
the really good ones and the really bad ones.
That's perfect.
A handful on each end of that.
Yeah.
But I spent almost 3 years as a Marine Corps drill instructor,
Wow,
kind of
that's
the height of my
impressive.
career. Or got out shortly after that. It was never something I wanted to do. Had a family. My two oldest sons were actually Jordan, my third son, was born while I was a drill instructor.
Oh, okay.
So
How many kids do you got?
I have five.
Five?
I
Okay.
have 3 boys and 2 girls.
Very nice.
Nice.
All but one live in this area, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
2 of them work for me still. Actually, 3 of them work for me. One of them part time, the others are full time.
Okay.
And you know, it's we enjoy it that way.
I was gonna say,
you know,
you
Jared,
have
which
to
is
enjoy
my
it.
oldest that works for me, which I'm sure you know Jared.
Yep.
Jared, one day we were having a conversation, and I said, you know, having your kids work for you is not always what it's cracked up to be. And Jared turned, as you would know, huh? And
Oh, yeah.
Jared turned to me and goes, working for your dad's not always what it's cracked up to be either. I guess I never thought about it from his standpoint, you know. He kind of hit it home a little bit right
that's
there.
funny.
But it's worked out all right. We've been
That's
at it a
cool.
long time.
Yeah.
You know, and so when I got out of the Marine Corps, I went to work for a farming corporation, John
Okay.
Hancock Insurance. If you have your insurance with them, part of what they invest is in ag.
Okay.
I managed their ag properties.
Oh, okay.
I did that for a number of years. And again, this is going to date me. In 1991, LA had their riots, Rodney King and all that.
Sure.
And people flocked out of LA to get their families out of it. One of the places they came to was Yuma, Arizona. That's where we were living at the time. And they left LA, but they tended to bring LA with them. And
yes.
some of the
They
school
tend to.
systems and some of the
Politics
yeah,
and
exactly, and
et cetera, et
not
cetera.
only that, but the gangs that the kids were involved in, because you were involved in gangs at a very young age.
Oh, I imagine.
You really didn't have a choice, to be honest with you. I decided that's not what I wanted for my family.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I had purchased the farm that we live on now.
Okay.
A couple of years earlier, we bought it for an investment, and we finally decided, we're moving back home.
Let's get out of here.
And
So where
we
were you
did.
at? Were you still up in like Eagle Point or
No,
wherever
I
you
actually,
Bonanza?
because I was
Were you
raised in
still
Vail.
Okay.
Yeah, and then when I worked for my in-laws, I actually owned a little trailer on their property and
Gotcha.
lived in the RV life long before the RV life was popular.
Yeah, it's a thing now.
And then I went right into the Marine Corps, and
Oh,
was in
okay.
the Marine Corps. I was
Gotcha.
wherever I happened to be stationed at.
So you're still kind of in the area before you guys decided to move into your farm, right?
No, we were actually in Yuma, Arizona. When I got out of the
Oh.
Marine Corps, I went to Yuma, Arizona.
Gotcha.
That's where we lived. Because the last place, one of the places I was stationed at was at Marine Corps Air Station, Yuma, Arizona.
Gotcha.
And so we had connections there. The job I got with John Hancock was from a guy that I had known before I became a drill instructor while I was in the Marine Corps Air Station, Yuma.
Gotcha.
And so I came back to Yuma, and we lived in Yuma for 12 years.
Wow.
We really liked Yuma.
Yeah, Yuma's cool.
It was no, Yuma is not cool.
Oh, it was.
So Yuma is hot.
It is hot.
But in fact, the day we officially moved from Yuma, Arizona to the farm here in
here.
Nissa was August the 28th, and it was 122 degrees the day I left.
Wow.
Yeah, it gets warm.
Oh, that works, I guess.
And they
Yeah.
can say all they want about a dry heat. It's still hot.
It's
Yeah.
still hot. Yeah.
So,
That's funny.
when the pavement starts bubbling because of the tar,
Yeah.
you know it's hot.
It's time to get out at that
So,
point.
yeah, we moved to the farm then, and we've been there ever since.
Gotcha.
Had some rough times. Had some,
Oh,
we
sure.
loved it. Of course, most people know recently our house burnt down.
Yes, it
You
did.
know, actually, it's been a little over 3 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
And
it's been a while.
I mean, it has. It happened October of 2019.
Okay, yeah.
And of course, because of COVID and all
Yeah.
the
Good luck
problems
building
of-
another
yeah,
one between
exactly.
all that.
And,
Yeah.
so we basically just finished moving into it. We moved into it about the first week of December.
Oh, nice.
Like a month and a
Yeah.
half ago.
Well, that's cool.
So that is
Congrats.
unique for us.
Yeah, that's neat. So, like, in all of that, when you guys came back here to the farm, did you start ranching? Did you start something else? Did you work for someone else? Like, how did that?
Sure.
How did that work?
Like I said, we had purchased this farm. It was under a sheriff's sale because the guy that owned it sold it to somebody else. That guy got caught doing this was before marijuana was legal. He'd been all right now.
Got
but
caught growing.
He got
Yeah.
caught growing. He got and lost the place and
Sure.
and so I knew about it, and so I made a bid at the sheriff's
Yeah,
sale. I let
yeah.
the guy that the primary owner was the guy who got the first right on it.
Gotcha.
So he bid $1 over what was necessary, and then I paid him $1 above that. And so that's how we bought it.
Okay.
We rented it out. It was in really, really bad shape. Nobody
Gotcha.
had farmed it for a number of years, so it took a lot of sweat equity over
Sure.
the years. So we went right into farming. That's what I
Gotcha.
did when I got out of the Marine Corps. I went to, for John
Okay.
Hancock Insurance. We went right into farming, rented some of the neighbors' places. In all honesty, most people know this probably about me, some may not, but after about 10 years, we went bankrupt.
I didn't know.
I don't, that's fine. You're not old enough to hardly remember. So, because it's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, it was in 1999.
Oh, okay. I was
So-
3.
Yeah, exactly. So was Janet,
Yes.
by the way. I have
She
a daughter
was.
the same age
Yes,
as Tyler.
graduated with Janet.
It was probably the worst thing I've ever been through in my life.
I bet. that
I
sounds
know,
horrifying.
I lost my dad when I was young, very young. Not very young. I was in the Marine Corps when he actually died.
Gotcha.
Which
So he's still
20.
young.
I was
Yeah.
20 in my 20s.
Yeah,
when
that's
my
young.
dad
Young
died.
enough.
And I tell you what, of course, if you have a faith,
Mm-hmm.
you realize that your parents or your family you're going to see them again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that didn't affect me as bad as going bankrupt did. It actually changed
Really?
our life a lot. Tanya and I struggled with our marriage because of it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of hopes and dreams that you'd been working on for
Yeah.
most of your life all of a sudden are now
just
upturned. It's not.
Yeah.
Go up
You know,
in
I know
smoke.
that you can read books, and I've read them all about the
Yeah.
one thing about the most successful men in the world.
Sure.
They've all been bankrupt on an average just 7 times.
Usually.
Trust me, I don't want to go through this 6 more times.
You're good. You're set.
Yeah, I'll settle for where I'm at. I don't need to
Fair
be rich.
enough.
It really bothered us. And especially the way it happened because somebody had made a promise to me. They did not fulfill that promise, and as a result, I
That's
I
where it
had
went
to go
downhill,
declare
yeah.
bankrupt. And that person lived in Nissa. I still had to see him. I still had
Yeah.
to.
Probably not
I-
on the top list of your favorite people on the planet.
I coached their kid.
Nice.
A lot of people don't know, or some people know, but I coached football in Nissa for
Yeah, you
almost
did.
10 years.
That's awesome.
Was it during that period that you coached?
It was prior to that.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly when I started coaching, probably 2003,
Okay.
something like that. And of course, we won state championships back
Yeah.
to back in 6
You
and
did.
7
Yeah.
while I was coaching.
That was cool.
Not that I had much to do with it, because when you got kids like we had, it doesn't
Oh,
take much coaching.
Yeah. You guys had great talent.
We had we had good coaches to help us, but we
You
had
have to.
phenomenal
Yeah.
athletes during those years.
Yeah, that's cool.
And everything just clicked right.
Sure. Yeah.
But anyway, so that was a bad time for
Yeah,
us.
I imagine.
As a result, Tanya, the only thing she asked for out of the whole deal with lawyers and everything was, please try to keep our farm because that is my home.
Yeah.
And it was a struggle to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We had to make a lot of concessions. And, it was, so the bankruptcy was a reorganization. We didn't
Sure.
just walk away from everything.
Okay.
I felt it was my duty to pay everybody that I owed still. I didn't think that I could walk away,
Have a
especially
good conscience.
some of them were my neighbors, some of them were, I don't know about, you don't want to call them friends, but they were acquaintances, I just didn't think it was the right thing to do. So we
that's very good of you.
reorganized, took 5 years. And I can tell you, during those 5 years, of course, you can't do anything. You can't buy, you can't sell,
Yeah.
you can't hardly, everybody
Imagine
sees
you-
bankruptcy on your paperwork, and
Yeah.
and after that, because it took everything we had to pay those 5 years to pay off,
Mm-hmm.
it took probably another 10 years almost before we could start functioning again.
To get to normal?
Because
Wow.
we had to make up,
Yeah.
no pity party. I'm just kind of telling
No,
it like
yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
During that time, we started Branch Enterprises.
Okay.
And part of it was because I had to have extra money.
Yeah.
I had to figure out some way.
No one was going to give it to you because
No, exactly. And I had to change what I was doing. Obviously, I went bankrupt doing
something that you
something.
shouldn't have been doing.
So
yeah.
I had to change. Otherwise, I wasn't going to be.
Yeah.
I was going to be in the same boat again in
Yeah.
5 years, right?
Yeah.
So we started Branch Enterprises. The very, very first job we did was a seeding job. Now, we do a lot of rangeland stuff. That's
Yeah.
kind of what we started in. Now, it's branched considerably, pardon the pun, but it's branched considerably from them, But the first job we did was a seeding operation. We did about 85,000 acres. It was a big chunk for us to bite off. And
Yeah.
we had some help from some local people. I went to them and begged, borrowed, and steal. I can tell you, without too much getting
Too
into
much
it,
giveaway information, yeah.
well, that's fine. I can tell you that Charlie Barlow and Harlan Garner are two of the best men I've ever known.
That's awesome.
Those two guys really helped me out when I was struggling.
That's cool. They are
And
good
they just
people.
end up being great friends.
Yeah.
You find out how your friends are
Oh,
really
you do.
quick, really
You do.
quick. So we started Branch Enterprises. We went into the noxious weed business primarily. That was what our specialty was. That's where the jobs were at.
Like government contract type stuff?
Exactly.
Okay.
Primarily, we did a lot of stuff for the BLM,
Mm-hmm.
at Vail District BLM. And, I can remember I was telling the kids the other day, we're talking about buying another trailer because we do a lot of staging because we're out and driving back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just it gets to be forever,
A lot.
especially when the price of fuel was so high. I tell them, I say, you think you guys need the old man slept in his pickup because he didn't have enough money to drive back and forth. I'd haul my four-wheeler out there and I'd
Yeah.
spray for 2 or 3 days and I'd sleep in
And
my
just-
pickup and then come
Yeah.
home.
Live there.
But I don't expect my employees to do that,
Of course not.
and that's fine. But it's not always, like I said, it's not always bed of roses. You see all the black pickups running around with
Yeah.
green signs, but
Took a while to get there.
It did. It hasn't always been that way. And so we went to noxious weed business. A guy approached me a little bit later on. We've been at it for a while, and we continue to do seeding here and there, and a little bit of spring restoration, just some odd jobs.
Yeah.
And he said, Dave, he said, there's going to be a new program come out called mastication. Make sure you spell that right when you Google it, by the way, because it's not good if you don't. So we came out with that, and we actually, it was kind of funny because you had to have the machinery before somebody would hire you, but you needed the job before you could afford the machinery.
Yeah.
I had a guy that took a chance on me in Jordan Valley, and we bought a couple of machines out of Northern California, guy going out of business. And we bought those and started mastication, and now we have, I don't know how many acres we have ground up. We looked at the other day trying to calculate that. We're somewhere in the 90 to 110,000 acres we have done over the last number of years. We've updated the equipment.
Sure. What is mastication?
Sure.
when it
Well,
comes
the
to
word
that
actually
process?
masticate.
It means
or
chew,
To
right?
chew. Correct. So what we do is currently we have 2 machines that are set up where we can walk up to a tree and just grind it where it stands.
Okay.
And we have a couple that are on, those are on trackhoe mounted ones, big ones.
yeah.
We have a couple that are on skid steers. Also, we do littler stuff with. The skid steers are more agile than a trackhoe is, but it's not as powerful.
Sure.
And so we just walk up to the tree, grind it where it stands. The program was set up for sage grouse habitat.
So you guys went in and took trees
Took
out
trees
to
out,
help.
primarily junipers.
Junipers?
Because
Okay.
the sage grouse, according to the research, will not inhabit an area where there's junipers.
Sure.
Now that we know there's all exceptions to every,
Yeah.
the sage grouse, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but the sage grouse is a dumb bird to begin with.
They are, yes.
So there's a reason why they're getting close to extinction, by the way, or threatened. I shouldn't use the word extinction because that's really, really bad. So, but anyway, if you remove the junipers, the sage grouse, the way it's designed is they will move back into their area.
I see.
I can also tell you it has a lot to do with water.
I was going to say, don't junipers take a lot of water?
They do, and the average rancher, if you're doing this on private, he's as much after grass and water as
Sure.
environmentalists are to get the trees removed
Yeah.
to get the birds moved back in. The reason for it, and I have my own theory on this, was years and years ago, all of the brood rearing habitat, which was in the meadows and where there was water and stuff,
Yeah.
those were all homesteads. And the
Sure.
homesteaders cut the trees themselves. They built fences with them. They cooked 365/7, right? Because that's what they
Yeah.
ate with.
Yeah.
You cooked. They shot all of the hawks because the hawks ate the eggs for the chickens that
Sure.
chickens they lived
Yeah.
on. They all had eggs back then, and they didn't pay anything for them either. Like we are.
Not $17 a carton or whatever the heck they are.
Yeah. So when the homesteaders had to leave because of either
Just
economics
hardships
or
or-
whatever the case may be, death, someone that nobody knew came along. The homesteaders weren't out there anymore to take care of the junipers that
Sure.
invaded on those wet meadows.
That makes a lot of sense.
So we went in, the junipers, if they want to leave them in the rocks up on the rims, that's a good place for them.
Yeah.
And then I like juniper. We burn juniper wood in our
Yeah,
new home.
juniper's nice.
Personally, I really like the smell.
Smells good. I love the smell of
They
juniper.
they burn really hot, a little bit of ashy, but it burns really hot. So anyway, all those junipers, we moved them back up into the rocks and clear the
Gotcha.
wet meadows for brood rearing habitat,
Okay.
which also improves the grass for the cows
Yeah.
and the water. The very,
Makes
very
this
first job
circle go back
we
around.
ever did, the rancher told me he had basically, his dad bought it in like 1918 or something like that.
Wow.
He'd owned it since the 50s.
Yeah.
He said the water had not ran since he was a kid.
Holy
the
cow.
year after, and this is kind of during a dry year, the year after water started running, and it has ran every year since.
That's
Wow.
Now, it doesn't always equate to that. It doesn't
imagine.
always equate to
There's exceptions
surface
to the
water.
rule, sure.
But the amount of water that they consume and the amount of water that is released is is good for everybody and everything.
Yeah.
You know,
Interesting.
I remember my dad telling me when I was a kid that the next world war will be fought over water, not over oil.
That's I can see that.
I don't know.
I can see that.
What the deal is there, but you know, in the West, there's probably been more people killed over water than oil for sure.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
the West, you
I
know.
imagine.
So anyway,
Do you guys do a lot of work up in Ventura? Because I know they were doing work for like when it came to the juniper removal.
sure. No, the stuff that was mostly done in Ventura was mostly done by Bent's actually.
Oh, okay.
They had a machine they bought themselves, and that was the stuff that you see in Ventura when you're on Highway 20 headed to Bend or whatever or Burns. Most of that along there is privately
Yeah,
done.
there's a lot of private ground
The
out there.
vast majority of what we did is in the Jordan Valley country in the
Oh, okay.
Owahis. On both sides of the border, Oregon and Idaho.
Yeah.
Sure.
We've done a lot in Ironside country.
Yeah.
We've done a little bit up into the Weiser country in there.
Okay.
But the vast majority of it is in Hawaii. Ironically, that's where the most junipers are, though, too, right?
Yeah.
And each entity, government entity, because that's where most of the contracts, even if you do it on private, it's usually a government grant, government funded. The NRCSs, whether it's on like Vail or, Ontario, or there's one in Marcy and there's one in Mountain Home that do a lot of juniper work. Most of that is done. Theirs is done on private. And, you know, and then the BLMs themselves, the Boise District BLM, done a pretty good job. Vail District BLM, they're more just want to do it by hand and cut it and leave it there.
see.
And just the different philosophies.
Yeah.
So we've done some hand cutting work, but it takes a pretty good sized crew
Imagine
to
it's a
do that.
Big manual labor job.
Yeah, it is. And when you have, I mean, we still got to do everything else we got to do.
Yeah,
You know?
right.
And we'll get into that in a little bit. But so we don't do a lot of, we actually entered into agreement this year with a company called Quicksilver, which is out of Bend, Oregon, which is a Hispanic crew, H2A employees, most, I think, are H2A. And they do a phenomenal job.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so a lot of contracts require them to cut, and then we pile.
I see.
So instead of masticate, we come along and pile them, and then the BLM or somebody, we contract out sometimes to burn them afterwards.
okay.
It all depends on how they want it done. And that's actually kind of the way the shift is right now, to cut them by hand,
Interesting.
pile them and burn them.
Why do you think that is?
Because there's no residue. Basically, you don't have to deal with the tree. In this country, we aren't really, we aren't really, we don't have a lot of, we're not real wet.
Yeah.
So it takes a while for a juniper to disintegrate.
Gotcha.
So you got this juniper laying out there, you know, and sometimes they're worse laying down than they are standing up because
Gotcha.
they're covering more ground.
Yeah.
And if you're after water and grass again, you got this tree laying down on the ground. Your cow can't get in there to eat grass, so you know.
That makes a
So
lot of sense.
that's where they pile them and burn them. And
Okay.
so lately we've been doing a lot of piling and burning.
I see.
More so than mastication. But the mastication is still relatively
For the moment, it's still good.
Yeah, exactly. So that's from the juniper what mastication means, to
Okay.
chew or to grind or
Okay,
mulch or however you want to talk.
Gotcha.
That's what we do with them.
Okay.
And we do things. We've done some, like in McCall area, we've done lots. Somebody buy a lot, it's covered, we'll go up there and grind it down.
Gotcha.
We don't do a lot of that. There are some local people who do that. We actually bid on a job a number of years ago in Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
My wife, it was February of every year for 5 years. They wanted you to go in and masticate some blackberries. And now blackberries don't masticate real well. I can tell you that from
experience.
Yeah, they kind of wind up on stuff, but obviously somebody from Hawaii got the job. I mean, it would have been, you bid that.
That'd
kind
been
of
cool, but it would've been
would've
expensive,
exactly.
right?
You can't very well haul your machinery to
Yeah.
Hawaii. You'd have to rent it and everything else, And so obviously I didn't get the job.
Sure.
My wife told me we didn't even have to make money. I had to just cover our expenses. We'd go over there and live for a month.
Yeah, seriously.
But it didn't work out. That's been a number of years ago
That's
now.
cool, though.
So we've done some stuff around,
Yeah.
unique stuff like that too, as far as some masticating. But for the most part, it has to do with junipers.
I see. Okay.
97, 98% of all
Yeah.
we've done has had to do with that.
And that was like your next big transition in Branch Enterprises, right? Like you
Yes.
started out.
Actually, no. Probably the next one from the noxious weed and the natural resource there was the mosquito vector district.
Oh, yeah.
See, we do all of vector district for Malheur County. We actually do some in Valley County. Also,
Interesting.
there's been some other counties who have talked to us about it. Canyon County's actually talked to us a little bit about it, doing some special stuff.
Yeah.
'Cause we do drones too.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
so the Malheur County, we worked out an agreement with them. Boy, I think it was 2012. We've been at it a long time on
Yeah.
the mosquito deal,
Yeah.
and the Vector District has been very good to us. They treat us well. They, it's been a good
That's
agreement
cool.
with us
Yeah.
for us.
Okay, so
You
that
know,
was
we do right here at your guys' house.
Yes.
We come by
Yep.
here once
Yeah.
a week. About the only place we don't do steady, and that's because the Vector District itself does that, and that's in Vail.
Okay.
Now we used to, but currently the Vail does that, and we virtually do the Vail. The Malheur
Their
County
city.
Vector District has their own equipment, their own personnel also.
Gotcha.
It's just not big enough.
To
I
cover
can't
the broader
imagine what they would
area.
have to do, how many people they'd have to hire. It's hard to find qualified people. You know,
Oh,
they got to take
sure.
the test, they got to be
Yeah.
licensed and everything else. We have all those people already. So
Easy enough to just contract and
it
call
was.
a day.
It was exactly, and I think probably. I mean, our selling point is the long run. It gets the job done, and probably as cheaper than what you can do it because
You have to hire all these
frankly, I
salaried
don't pay my
people.
guys as much as a government entity does sometimes.
Sure.
You know, now, I guess I don't really know for sure what they make. You know, I should
I
have
don't know.
said that, but
I mean, no,
but
it's good
You know,
because
it's different.
Yeah.
It's just
Sure.
a different pay structure. You guys do
Sure,
different
sure.
things, right?
Right, and I mean, my guys work more than 40 hours a week too.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
which
You'd have to
this
give them
year-
breaks. You'd
Yeah.
have to give them all this other
Yeah.
stuff.
This
yeah.
year, obviously, the whole overtime deal is
It's changing a lot
It's
of
changing
things.
a lot. We're having to adjust and change to that
Mm-hmm.
also. So the Vector District was probably our next big change.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then mastication.
mastication came from there.
And then, which the whole heavy machinery as
Sure.
far as whether we're piling, whether we're masticating. Spring development is something we really love to do. Riparian work.
Do you go and like dig out
You
springs?
do
and-
springs and make them, put tanks in and make them, and then usually you fence them off so that the spring itself is being saved from trampling, whether it's by,
Outside.
domestic animals or wild animals or whatever the case
Sure.
may be. And you get yourself a, off-site watering system. Riparian work, we really like our riparian work, and that's, to fixing banks, planting trees, whatever happens to be, whatever the job calls for. We really like that.
And where do you guys do that type
We've
of work
actually
at?
done kind of all over actually on that
Okay.
because that's pretty specialized.
Sure.
Some of it requires big equipment. Some of it's been little. Some of it's just been by hand.
Mm-hmm.
We've done everything from, Oregon, Idaho. We actually bid on a job last year in Washington
Wow.
on the Yakima River. We didn't get it, but we bid on
It's
it.
just been that scope of where you're
Yeah,
looking.
exactly. You kind of got to, people talk about, I can't, an hour and a half, the pretty normal commute for around here.
Yeah, it is.
You pretty much, you go to Jordan Valley, it's an hour and a half. You go to Unity and do a job, it's an hour and a half. You go to Burns or
Yeah.
Juntura, it's an hour and a half
Couple
to 2
hours,
hours. You pretty much got to travel an hour and a half no matter where you
Just
go.
to get to where you need
Yeah,
to go.
fuel is a big issue for us.
I bet.
Last year's fuel bill, our 2020, let me get this right. Our 2020, it's 20. We're in 23.
We're in
So in
23,
20,
yeah.
in July, end of June, 1st of July of 22, we had spent as much on fuel as we did all of 21.
Wow.
Holy cow.
And I mean, when you look at that
That adds up.
When we have a contract, it just ended with Oregon State Parks.
Mm-hmm.
We do everything basically east of 97, which is the one that goes through Bend.
Yeah.
East, we do all the Oregon parks east of 97. And then we go into a little bit into Lake County and down in there. That's a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
When my wife and I do a job every year in Medford, Oregon, it takes you 5 hours just to get there.
Sure.
And so that gets to be, travel gets to be an issue.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, most people don't think about that kind of stuff, right? Like
No.
you have to for you guys are pretty travel heavy because you guys work mostly in remote
We do.
areas.
Yeah.
We do.
So a lot of your guys' time is eaten up in just travel.
Correct.
To get there.
And like I said, that's one reason why we really like the Vector District, because it is here.
Sure.
You
It's
know, I
right
mean,
here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no traveling. We can arrange to have it.
You're good.
We can arrange to have it done in a couple hours. You know,
Yeah.
and so that makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
We enjoy that. The Vector, and I personally enjoy working with people and the public.
Yeah.
It's not always positive, you know.
Pros and cons.
I can tell you stories. There's one street in Ontario I refuse to go down.
Fair enough.
And they've called a couple times, wanted sprayed, but the guy at the end of the road came out on out, threw rocks at me, and slammed on my hood.
Jeez.
Slammed his hand on my hood. I'm not going back down there.
Yeah, no.
You know, we've had threatened to be shot at.
That's
in
crazy.
Vail. We've had one of our guys had gun pulled on him twice, and outside of Ontario.
Oh my
So
gosh.
about 3 years ago, I was spraying in a not so favorable part of Ontario. And I had a car pull up next to me, and they rolled the window down. The guy had a sawed-off shotgun sitting on his front lap. The guy in the passenger seat. I mean, I thought I was dead.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah, what do you do at that point?
Exactly. So he smiled at me and waved and went on. It was total intimidation is all he was
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
did. He accomplished his job. I was intimidated. You know, I mean, I don't know what else I was going to do.
My goodness, that's
so
sketchy.
It's been, you know, I've had people stand in front of the road and stop me. I've
Yeah.
had people lay down in front of the road and stop me.
That's ridiculous.
You know, and in all honesty, most of those incidences, there's certain parts of towns that are a little more
you
nice.
know
Yeah,
where most
you
of that
know.
stuff generally
When you
happens.
start at 9 o'clock at night, because you got to wait till the temperature gets down,
Yeah.
mosquitoes got to be
For
out.
spray.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You start in those areas where it's still daylight, and you move into
that's
the
fair.
other areas as it gets dark.
Yeah, that's
Little safer areas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's kind of it's never a dull moment. I can tell you that. We've had, actually
Yeah.
we were out
Wow.
at the Willow Creek area, and we were doing ponds because we had larvicide ponds, and somebody had hay forks on the front of their great big loader, and he came charging out of our pickup with his loader.
Really?
I don't know what I mean, we got him stopped before he put a hole inside of my pickup.
Well, that's good.
But
That's
you
a
know,
little sketchy.
Yeah,
so
Wow.
it's always, like I said, it's never dull. But we really do enjoy the vector mosquitoes. I
That's
enjoy
cool.
dealing with people.
Uh-huh.
I enjoy, you know, like I said, good or bad. I don't mind the confrontation.
Yeah.
I can hold my own as far
Yeah.
as discussing to you whether it's going to hurt you or whether it's, you know,
yeah.
guaranteed Malheur County would not have let us
Yeah.
go out and spray if we thought we were killing everybody.
Yeah.
You
Sure.
know, they're not, I mean, you're not going to get a license to do anything like that anymore, you know?
No,
So,
not at all. Okay, so you guys went from basically just getting started out, then to the mosquito, then to mastication, and now I know you guys do some stuff with drones.
Correct.
And like, when did that come into play for you guys?
Actually, we started it because of the mosquito stuff.
Oh.
It was something that some of the ponds are really, really hard to access by
Sure.
foot going around them. Now we have an amphibious vehicle also. I can drive from ground out into water and back into ground.
Oh, that's cool.
It's not a little Argo, it's big.
Yeah.
And we've done some Eurasian milfoil stuff for
Yeah.
idle fishing game and zebra mussels and those kind of all those aquatic
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
for idle fishing game. Oregon's never really jumped on that because it's not really a Western
Big.
Oregon problem, so you don't really get much highlight going on if you're in Eastern Oregon, right?
That's fair. Yeah.
So, but the drone deal, we started out. We went and bought a drone because there was a big controversy at the beginning of the drone issues as to whether, because of China,
Yeah.
because all the stuff's made in China. The software, are they, you know, when it's on the cloud, are they downloading that?
What are
so
they using
can
your data
spy?
for?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So we bought drones out of a company in Florida that didn't do as much. Everything's still pretty much tied to China when it comes to drones.
Sure.
Now there are some exceptions, and ours is an exception, but not 100% of an exception.
So you guys still have some control of your data and stuff
We
like
do,
that?
we do. So we bought this out of Florida, sent Jared back to Florida he actually crashed
Lucky
their
little-
drone
Oh,
in an
no.
armadillo hole.
Oops.
And they go, oh man, you landed in an armadillo hole. Jared thought they were kidding around. He'd never
Yeah,
seen an
yeah.
armadillo
Yeah,
before, you know.
yeah.
But no, he actually crashed in an armadillo hole.
Oh,
So
my
that
gosh.
was a kind of a big deal for
Yeah.
us. I mean, we never even seen
You're
an
like,
armadillo.
Yeah.
"Ooh, that's so cool. That's
But anyway,
funny.
it's kind of like crashing in a
Yeah.
golf roll around
Oh,
here.
sure.
You know, it's kind of everyday
It's just
occurrence,
everywhere,
right?
yeah.
So we went and did the drones. We had a steep learning curve. We've
I bet.
crashed it a couple of times.
Sure.
It's not cheap to
I
rebuild them.
imagine it's not.
It's
Those are
about
commercial
$600 for a set of props.
Yeah.
And there's 16 of them on there.
Yeah.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
Those are commercial drone applications.
yeah,
They're
and our
thousands.
drones are very big.
Yeah,
You can
they're
pack a small child with
big
ours.
drones.
We actually had to. We have special licenses and stuff
Sure.
to get. Not only are we
You have to have-
piloted with FAA,
Yeah.
but we have to get licenses through Oregon State. Even though you're standing on the ground, you're still considered a
Pilot,
a
flight
pilot,
risk,
Yeah.
You know, so you had
Yeah.
to go through that whole process.
obey the air traffic laws.
Exactly. In fact, we got inspected because they come out and inspect your machinery, and they don't know how to handle drones.
Sure.
Basically, they come out with an inspection sheet that has to do with a helicopter. So they asked us, how often do we change the oil in our rotors? Well, I'm sorry, but our rotors are 100% electric. There's no
rotor
oil in them.
oil.
You know, and
That's so funny.
Jared says as often as is required by as what's recommended, you know, that kind of sarcastic answer, but it's the truth. I mean, come on,
Yeah,
guys,
yeah.
you can look at this thing and it
That's
says,
so funny.
but it's,
Oh,
I mean,
my
they don't
goodness.
know how to handle it at the time because we were at the forefront.
Yeah.
Nobody knew how to handle drones. So we've actually, that's expanded quite a little bit. We do seeding for the government.
Yeah.
We've done some spraying out. The BLM and the Forest Service, with a few exceptions, don't really do drone work still because of the whole China deal.
Yeah.
Fair.
Or scare of that.
Yeah.
Even though we've
Yeah.
tried it over and over again saying, no, they don't have access to
Look.
our data. We're not
Yeah.
cloud-based.
Yeah.
Anyway, they basically have a
They'll get
rule
there.
saying, no, it's not going to happen.
They'll get there.
So,
sure. That's fair.
anyway, and we're in the process now of, we've just worked out a deal with, probably better not say because it's not signed
Not
yet
done
all
in
the way, but
contract
we
yet.
actually have a deal with one of the local
By the time this
chemical
episode
dealers.
comes out, I'm
Yeah,
sure
exactly.
you'll
One of the
already
chemical
be-
dealers that
Yeah.
we're going to do all their drone work for them.
Oh,
That's
okay.
awesome.
That's
Nice.
going to, when you start getting into areas where, like, say, for instance, you're in the Caldwell area,
Yeah.
you might have a field that's surrounded on four sides by houses. You
And
can't
you
very
can't
well
get
drop an
big.
airplane in there. They're just not going to do it, So if you need it, spray it over the top. We'll just come in and we can do it via drone and not
Yeah.
be flying over people's houses.
That's interesting.
One of the big deals with drones is we can take, for instance, say you got a spot in the middle of your field.
Mm-hmm.
An airplane is not going to come in for 2 acres in the middle of your field to spray it. You can't get there because it's wet with
Yeah.
your conventional.
Sure.
We can take it out and we can fly in there with a drone, spray it, and turn around and fly back out.
That's
Never touch
crazy.
your crop.
Yeah. Interesting.
Now, we've, updating the drones is kind of like, your phones. The day you buy your phone, it's out of
It's
date.
done.
Yeah.
So Jared the other day called me and said, Dad, we're flying a dinosaur. We got to do something,
Yeah.
Well, I'm...
Well, when the
Yeah.
sticker price is like 15,
Yeah.
20 plus
Yeah.
grand, you're like,
exactly.
do we really need
yeah.
to?
The
This
next...
dinosaur's going to have to work.
exactly. But we are in the process right now of upgrading
Sure.
our drone system and our drone ability, especially if we sign a deal with the local
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to at that
Not
point.
that we're going to get rid of the one we got, because we still have Vector.
You can still use the dinosaur for whatever
we
you
can
need.
Still use it. And the nice thing about Vector is because we've known where the ponds are at, we can just punch the button and say it knows the
auto.
parameters already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's already downloaded, it's already
Sure.
there, and we can
That's so
just.
cool.
But the new one, you have to fly with joysticks.
Yeah.
They're autonomous to some degree, but not 100%. The new ones are all autonomous. In fact, you don't even have that. You just have the joysticks are sitting down on your hip.
Sure. You don't even use them anymore.
No,
it's just an
on
app.
your.
or-
It's just on your
That's
screen.
crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't fly them.
That's fair.
I never have. I don't intend to start.
I wouldn't have touched that fancy
because,
equipment.
I mean,
either.
when you're dealing with a $85,000 to $95,000 drone,
Yeah.
nah, I am
Yeah.
not. My
Yeah.
thumbs do not move like that anymore.
seriously.
I do not fly it.
Yeah, you
I
don't wanna
even-
be in
I don't-
charge
We
of
got
that.
little ones that we can do IR and stuff
Yeah.
with,
Okay.
cameras. It's got a 6K. This is sometimes when you start something new, you think you got it figured out. So we bought this nice fancy drone with a 6K camera. We don't have a computer that'll run a 6K
Oh,
camera.
no.
So now we got to go out and buy a new computer. Stupidity on the owner part being me. I'm thinking, oh man, this is a great idea. Let's go get this. And we got, but then we got to go buy basically a gaming computer.
Yeah.
They're the only ones that can
Yeah.
handle that
That's
kind of stuff.
what no one told me when it came to podcast stuff was, yes, you have all this equipment. It's easy to use. But then they don't tell you the amount of gigs of data that you
That it
have to go
takes.
through. Like one video for us is like 14 gigs of data.
Wow.
And you have to go through a whole gaming
Yeah.
system computer
Right.
just to get it to download and upload.
And
It's
then you
crazy.
have, as you said, this is 18 or something like that.
Yeah.
You got all
Yeah.
of those on there still,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
maybe not on your computer. They're probably cloud based or
Some,
something.
but-
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. I understand. So
It's crazy. Yeah.
you don't really.
And then you're like, oh, well, now I got to go spend another $6,000 on a brand new computer that can handle this
That's
type
right.
of software.
Yeah.
It's like,
Exactly.
damn, I didn't think that's
No, we really didn't. And because you're trying to make a business out of it.
yeah.
There's
Prices
not
go
too
up,
many
it
people.
makes-
Well, not too many people
Yeah.
know about you either.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, you're doing your best to try to advertise and.
But you're like,
And-
well, who do we market to? Like, who's our
Exactly,
market? Like,
exactly,
how do
you
we
know?
convince people they need this service?
Right.
almost,
And then I
yeah.
get a phone call from a guy that wants us to spray 3,000 acres with a drone. Thinking, dude, I'll take your money, but
But
we're
might
going to
take
be
me a
at it
while."
for a year.
Yeah.
For 3,000 acres. It
That's a
wouldn't be
lot.
that long, but it'd take a
Sure.
long.
That's a lot.
We were spraying a weed. The weed would have been out of its phenology to
Yeah.
spray by the time
Yeah,
we got
yeah.
done. You really need to call a helicopter or an airplane. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
seriously.
not what we do.
Right.
Um,
You guys are small
know.
batch type stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
almost.
We can spray 50 or 60 acres pretty
Yeah.
easily, but not 3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's you
That's
just
crazy.
need to call in a
Yeah,
helicopter.
yeah.
They'll have it done in a day.
Yeah. How
So-
much, how many drones do you guys actually like use?
We actually have 3.
Okay.
It depends on the job. One primarily. Now we're about to have 4, but one primarily does. It holds. It's authorized. We can hold 115 pounds.
Okay.
With it, which is a big drone.
That's a lot.
That doesn't sound 115
lot.
pounds. Doesn't sound like, but that is a big drone.
That's Sydney
Yeah,
that you're
exactly.
carrying around.
Actually, I pack off a small child.
Yeah.
I'm not calling you a child by no
Yeah,
means,
I
but
mean,
She's
but-
small.
comparable.
exactly. It holds. Usually, when we do larvicide or seeding, we can. It depends on the mass of what you're. If you're a larvicide is a pellet, usually it tends to weigh more than say a seed does.
Gotcha.
If you
Yeah.
do a seed mixture, you fill the hopper up with 20 or 25 pounds. If we're flying larvicide, we can hold 50 to 60 pounds, depending on which one it is.
Yeah.
And at the rate that it flies, it doesn't take us very long. The limitations on drones are the batteries.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
We have.
I imagine that battery's got to be pretty big.
Well, they're packets.
Sure.
I think we have 12 packets. Chair's going to chastise me if I'm not right on this, but I
Jared,
think we
don't
have.
hurt him.
I think we have 12 packets. He listens too to this.
Oh, yeah. He'll know. He'll know.
So you go to the job full. It takes about 20 minutes to get rid
do
of
your
to recharge,
field.
but it can depend on how far you got to fly to your job and back, because not all the time can you get
It's right there.
right there. So
Yeah.
you're flying to the
Couple
job
minute
takes as
flight
much
time,
power,
yeah.
especially if you're full.
That's
Yeah.
doing the job. Yeah.
So we've
Interesting.
crashed a couple of times when we pushed it too
You
far.
ran out of battery.
Yeah, ran out of battery.
Oops.
It's designed to come home, but
You're like, I'm just not done yet.
Yeah.
Damn it.
in fact, we crashed right there at the house one time. We had one of the local neighbors had come by and watched Jared flying, and
Oh.
he got out there too far and got to talking and wasn't paying attention, and it started to come home.
Dropped out of the sky. all of a
But
sudden.
when it comes home, it takes a little bit to actually land.
Uh-huh.
And it'll land within centimeters of where it took off.
Sure.
When you hit home, it comes back. I mean,
That's
right where you
crazy.
set
yeah, you
the
can actually land
coordinates.
in your hand. Well, it's too big. The little
Sure.
ones you can land in your hand.
Yeah.
But when it from about say you're coming home at 30 feet,
Mm-hmm.
whatever height, from 30 feet to zero takes about as much power as it does to go from the job to the 30 feet.
Wow.
So because it takes there, sits there and hovers its way down. It hit a little harder than it should have. So,
Oops.
some of the landing gears.
Yeah. A little bent.
know.
Yeah.
He used to have a drone.
Oh, I've had a few drones. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
I've
watched a
crashed them all
video the
time.
other day, and there was one, and he's recording, and then it just freaking crashes.
It came out of the sky because I
Yeah.
think we hit a tree branch or something. We were chasing a razor
Yeah.
with it and just.
So there's a pond over in Vail that is really, really, really bad with mosquitoes. In
Okay.
fact, you just about couldn't pay me enough to live right by that
Fair
thing.
enough.
It is terrible. And we are very aggressive about trying to take care of them.
Sure.
And I think it's getting better.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
for years, you go out there and your arms would just
You're just
be
covered.
You wipe your
You're getting
arm and
packed
kill
away.
50 of them. It
Oh,
was
that's
bad.
crazy.
There's a tree in the middle of that pond.
Mm.
So the Vector District actually, they have a drone too. Now they don't really have, they got a pilot, but when you hire temporary people, it's hard to get somebody who's
Yeah.
Consistent.
year after year after year to spray and fly and get licensed and all
Mm-hmm.
that. They hit it in the middle of that. I mean, it's a big tree. Now it's
Oh,
dead,
no,
but it's a big tree.
yeah.
Oops.
So when we went out there and started flying it, and we do it now again because it's so much more efficient holding
Sure.
40 pounds or
Yeah.
50 pounds than it is 8.
Yeah.
Because they have their drones a lot smaller than ours. I said, you put that thing at 70 feet. There's no chance
We're
we're
not
going to run
touching
into
that
that.
thing.
I'm telling
Yeah.
Jared, we're not hitting that tree.
Yeah.
I don't care whether you go over the top of it or you go around it, but don't get anywhere near that tree
Yeah.
because it's out in the middle. You got to
Yeah.
walk. We're not leaving our drone out in the middle of the
Yeah.
pond.
Yeah, it's-
So anyway, fortunately, Jared's never hit it.
That's good.
We have hit a power line. We've,
Yeah, it's just stuff you don't think about, like when it comes to flying drones around. You have all these other things that you don't think in your daily life. You're like, oh, now I have to worry about power lines. I have to worry about birds. I have to worry about trees. I have to worry about branches.
Birds are an issue.
Ah.
We actually, the big one, what we have is the little birds thinking it's like it's an eagle and they want to
Yeah.
come down and peck on it.
Oh.
The
my
little
gosh.
drones, the big birds want to get at it.
Oh, good,
Yeah,
'cause they think
birds
it's a
birds are an
prey.
issue.
Yeah.
They really are.
That's crazy.
If Jordan primarily because he's a little more artistic, so he does a lot of our video and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If he sees a big bird and he's swallowing it small, he'll bring it home because they'll
They'll
dive bomb
attack
it.
it. That's crazy.
Birds are kind of an issue, but
bet.
most of the problems we have associated with our pilot air.
Mm-hmm.
They're,
That's fair.
Yeah,
you can only go so far.
Yeah, well, and both of our guys are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jared's very good, only because he's flown more than
Yeah,
Jordan.
sure.
But mistakes still happen.
Hey, they
Yeah,
do.
of
They
course.
do.
And I can't very well holler at him about it because if I was flying, it'd have been worse.
Oh, yeah. There's a reason you don't touch the
Yes,
drone stick.
right, exactly. So
That's
anyway.
cool. You guys, it sounds like you guys do quite a few things within around that rural area kind of stuff. How big of a crew do you guys have to kind of handle all that stuff? Or is it like seasonal when you do these
We
types of
have a
jobs so you
couple
can
of
keep?
no. We have a couple of seasonal employees. We like to keep them. I don't like laying people off
Sure,
because
it
it's so
doesn't
hard to
feel good.
find somebody good.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is.
And the crew we got now, I'd swear by. We have some great people work for us. And so we probably at our height are somewhere between 9 and 11.
Okay. That's still a relatively small crew.
It is.
Sure.
We set up a corporation a number of years ago. We're a family corporation. It's actually the title is Branch Enterprises 7 Inc.
Yeah.
Numeral 7. 7 because there's Tanya and I and 5 kids.
And seven
Yeah.
brands,
All
branches.
7 of us own stock.
Okay.
Now I have some of my employees also own stock that have been with me for a long, long time. I have a nephew who's one of the best guys. One of the best hires that I didn't
plan on.
birth.
Yeah, yeah.
He's phenomenal. We have a
cool.
couple other guys that work for us that worked for us a number of years.
That's cool.
That I'd swear by them.
Yeah.
I'd put them up against anybody.
That's
Sure.
awesome.
That's cool.
They're kind of. So I'm gonna say that they're kind of like family. Most of them are.
Yeah.
But the rest of them are.
That's
They're
cool.
just great people,
So-
and we could not begin to do what we do without that.
Oh, of course not.
Not
Yeah.
even close.
Yeah.
And I'm always looking for.
Always looking for more.
Oh,
right?
I'm looking for another guys.
Always.
You know, we actually want to expand. We do fire control also
Okay.
with our mastication machines. We do
okay.
fire control,
Do you
which
do
is
build fire breaks and stuff like
correct.
that. Correct.
We should have started that years ago. 'Cause that's
stuff.
that's been a good deal for us.
Good.
But I can't find employees.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, that want to go on.
You gotta have another crew
now,
that
I
wants to
give
go
a
out there.
huge bonus for the guys going on fires.
Yeah.
They make pretty good money.
I
They
bet.
make real good
It's
money.
hazard pay
But
at that point.
I can't find people that are reliable to do
That
that.
want to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I wished I could. You know,
Yeah.
I currently have I'm going to call them a husband and wife team. And they're not really husband and wife, but anyway.
Yeah.
They go on fires together
Okay.
and
That's their
works
thing.
great because I have to have a chase vehicle also that has the
Yeah.
oil and the diesel and make sure that traffic's not because mastication they throw chips everywhere.
Sure.
Sometimes those chips are the size of your leg. I
Yeah.
mean, they throw them everywhere. You don't want to be within 300 feet of our machinery.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't wanna
I
get
bought a
stabbed.
brand new Ford pickup here. Oh, I don't know, about 2009, 2010. And I thought I parked far enough away. I mean, I had less than 10,000 miles in this thing, and that
Oh my goodness.
and all of a sudden, there's a log about the size of your arm going through the air, just
Oh,
landed right on the
no.
top of it and bounced off, you know. And I should have known better, but anyway, get excited and carried away once in a while.
Yeah.
But so we're, you know, our family is primarily
Sure.
our family. All of my kids own stock. The kids who work for me actually own additional stock to that when
Sure.
we distributed
They have a little
because
bigger
they were
share.
they were entitled to it. We thought. We have some employees that own stock that have been with us for a long, long time.
Oh, that's really cool. Actually.
And so, you know, I still own 40%,
Of course.
but I can
have
be
to.
at only 40%. Obviously, I can be outvoted.
Yeah.
You can.
You know, you
Yeah,
know,
that's really cool
Thanksgiving
though.
might be a little rough if you did that. but-
No longer invited to Dad's house for Thanksgiving. That's
but
that's
anyway.
cool. I mean, not a lot of small companies do stuff like that, right? Like where they give stock to their employees who've been around for a long time, and
Right.
like I wish I could do some of that, but a lot of your guys' I'm not going to say the talent, but it requires a lot of skill to do what
Yeah.
you guys do,
It does.
right? Like
It
you
does.
guys have to have drone applications. You guys have to know how to operate heavy machinery. Like you guys probably have to do classes all the time for
True.
some of this stuff
True.
and
Keep up to date
constant
on it.
training. So
I currently teach. This spring, I will teach 4 classes at Treasure Valley. One of the reasons I did that is because I couldn't find people.
you get employees from that,
to
right?
Get, well,
Yeah,
to get
kinda.
I couldn't get licensed. I couldn't find somebody who was doing the class
I
to
see.
license my people.
Gotcha.
So I said, okay, Treasure Valley.
Yeah.
What if I teach the class? Can I have my people licensed
Through this class.
Through the class, and that was one of the reasons why we did that.
That's cool.
And it's been, you know, it's been a good deal for
Yeah,
us.
that's cool.
Part of, and so, you know, I don't know how ethical that is, I guess, because I'm teaching everybody though. But there's certain
it
things I
works.
have to require to teach.
Of course.
It's not like I'm
have a
going in there and
curriculum.
saying,
Yeah.
here, you know, you pass the
You're
test,
just
here you go.
signing it off.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
because there's somebody watching me too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the testing is done considerably separate
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, that's cool.
The FAA is probably, when it comes to drones, is our
Yeah.
biggest hurdle because they are not set up to handle drones. They don't know
Really?
what to do.
Interesting.
Now, they'll tell you, oh, yeah, we got this program, but you'd call 3 people and you come up with 4 answers because they don't know. You know, and that FAA is a big government.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
move fast.
No,
you
they
know.
do not. It takes a long time to make
Takes
changes.
a long time to make changes. So, you know, and of course, we still kept our farm through
Yeah.
all this. And we've gone away from row crop stuff only
Okay.
because if you guys spray your onions today, you guys spray your onions today.
Yeah.
I don't have that luxury.
Sure.
I can't, maybe not be, because today I may have to be in
Ventura
or Walla Walla,
Unity or Walla
you know,
Walla,
or
yeah.
doing whatever. I can't spray. So we went nothing to hay and grain and cattle,
easy,
which is what
easier
we
crops.
originally wanted to do anyway. We were kind of both raised around the cattle deal. That
Sure.
was what we wanted. We run cattle. As you go to our farm right now, you'll see most of them up there.
Yeah.
We also have a place in Valley County.
Oh, okay.
We run our cattle up there in the summertime. Those cows coming out of there are just sloppy fat. fact, they come out of there so fat they go hardly go in and out of the truck. Sometimes
that's
they are
funny.
so fat.
That's cool.
You know, they really need to be put on a diet once in
Sure.
a while. But then so
They
do a lot
taste
of
good,
other
though.
of
Hey,
us. So,
you never know. That's
so
funny.
anyway,
That's cool. That's really cool. So you guys offer a number of services. Like what would you say like your overview list of stuff that you guys do is?
well, okay, we have heavy equipment, and
Okay.
that would consist of anything that heavy equipment needed to do.
Sure.
As far as, of course, we have mastication heads set up.
Yeah.
That were designed by me primarily. I've actually designed them, the ones we
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
have.
cool.
We're on modification number 4, I think.
That's awesome.
We do, pipeline berries. We'll
Mm-hmm.
do, anything that basically heavy equipment.
That
I
you can
haven't ever
utilize
got
it
into
for.
bridge building or road building. That's
Sure.
not really what
Yeah.
we're, mostly it's either ag related
related.
or at least natural resource related.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good
so
way to put it.
Yeah, the equipment is, would do the riparian stuff. We've redone stream banks,
Yeah.
et cetera. So natural resource industry is primarily
Okay.
where we gravitate to is what we
Gotcha.
do.
For
So,
heavy equipment side,
we
yeah.
have the heavy equipment, we have drones.
Okay.
We can do everything from videotaping to spraying to seeding to.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys do thermal mapping and stuff like that
We
too?
have the ability. We haven't really done very much of that, only because it hasn't been something that's a market.
Sure.
There are companies who do it via satellite
Gotcha.
that have kind of overshadowed the drone portion of it. We
Gotcha.
can do it. Again, gaming computers.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of computer
It's
work.
big
to-
data. Yeah.
So we've done very, very little of that.
Fair enough.
Not that we can't. And they talk about, because our deal has always been the noxious weed business. That's kind of what we're more known for. So we get a call saying, can you go out and map the noxious weeds? Well, the drone industry will tell you that they have ability to identify weeds as they fly over. No, they don't. What they have the ability to do is, because based on heat signatures. So one thing that they can do, everybody, for years when marijuana wasn't, they could fly over the top and get a heat
know.
signature because marijuana had its own heat signature
Yeah.
and they can identify that.
Sure.
But if I'm in the middle of a cornfield and you want me to find out what that weed is, I can't do that.
That cornfield's going to overshadow
Right.
any other
So
heat
what
signature.
happens is in the Midwest where they have big soybean, corn, wheat, they know the heat signature of, say, soybeans.
Mm-hmm.
So anything other than soybeans stands out.
Yeah.
I see.
But if you want me to fly around and say, okay, out in the middle of the desert, is there any of this particular weed? The technology is not there. They say it. They say they can
Gotcha.
identify. Yes and no. They know what the heat, but you can't. I mean, it's not there. So
Okay.
we can with cameras see it, but that requires
It looks-
a
makes
lot
you
of
looking
time.
at it and
Yes, a lot of
studying.
time. And you better kind of know where they're at to begin with, because you fly a 1/4 mile grid in
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 minutes. You better kind of know because it's going by you really fast.
Sure.
And then so we can do some of that.
Gotcha. You just don't. Fair enough.
But we have to do it. We have to manipulate the system to do it.
Gotcha.
So anyway, so mapping
Okay.
is not something that's
It's not big on
as-
the list.
Not big on the list. It's something
enough.
you can do, and I would assume that over time we may be able to.
Yeah.
But
The
currently,
technology's
the
there.
technology is not what they say it is.
Fair enough.
And so, anyway, that's from the drone deal. Noxious weed is still a day-to-day
Still your thing.
I mean, we have basically 3 people who do that. That's all they do day after day after day is spray noxious weeds. And they're better at it than I ever was. My patience is.
Very little.
Yeah, I'm just not a detailed guy. I'm an overview guy.
I get that
And
100%.
and I've made mistakes over the years because of that.
Sure.
So I hire people
do it all
who
the time.
drive me nuts who are detailed.
Yeah.
And they just, like I said, they drive me nuts because they take way too long to get something done.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's
But that's what it
I know
requires,
better.
yeah.
I'm old
Yeah.
enough to know that hey, they're doing it better than I ever would.
Yeah.
Let's just
Alright.
go do it, and I'll walk away.
Yeah.
So
works.
farming wise, we're always looking. I don't know how many times I've asked somebody, we need to expand a little bit. I got a son that would like to, but we're in the cattle.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not into row crop stuff.
Yeah.
You know, don't intend to go back.
Fair enough.
Sold all the equipment.
Yeah. Good.
You know, so.
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying is don't do stuff that you're not good at. This a grade A thing
Well,
to go
yeah,
bankrupt, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Fair
you
enough.
know, I would say bankrupt wise, you know, the Bible says pride cometh before a fall. Don't get too big for your britches.
Fair enough.
They'll come off. They'll get burnt.
Good to
You
know.
know,
Good to know. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're doing a great job around here,
Well,
by the way,
thank you.
Tyler. It's always amazing
Appreciate
me
it.
every time you walk in here. It seems like something new is about to happen around here.
Right.
I noticed the
Especially
tile on the
lately.
floor now is
Yeah,
about to
yeah.
about to be gone. So
Uh-huh.
that's always neat, you know.
Thank you.
And it's quite a contrast from a podcast to a restaurant.
Yeah, we do a
You
lot.
know? Yeah. So you know, it's the same. You got to do what you got. It's like somebody says, "Well, what do you do, Dave?" I said, "Well, I'll do whatever it takes to turn a dollar."
Whatever I need to do.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, I
Gotta
got
keep this thing pumping
You know,
somehow.
there's a $185,000 piece of machinery sitting out there. It doesn't make any money sitting in
Gotta-
my yard.
it
does
You
not.
know, if I got to dig a ditch with it, if I got to tear down a tree with it, if I got to demolish your barn with it, whatever it takes, I'll do it. You know? So,
Absolutely.
and I got an operator.
Keep going.
In fact, he when he goes on a fire, they call him the surgeon. He can take if he masticates a tree, he can just about put that tree trunk where you want it. I mean, that guy is phenomenal when it comes to, especially a Traco. You
That's
know, he
crazy
just,
what they can do with those
he, you know. You've seen videos where guys with a thumb and a claw, you know, they
Yeah.
undressed a lady on stage. I'm pretty sure he could do it. He's that good. I just, you know,
That's
and,
cool.
and he can look and see, you know, the terrain.
Mm-hmm.
We dug a ditch for a guy over in Vale. It was about 1,800 feet. Now,
big ditch.
Dan
Yeah.
is who he is. Dan did not have the advantage of having any kind of laser work, any kind of
Sure.
thing. He was off an inch and a half in 1,800 feet.
Wow.
All he's doing is sitting
Holy
on that
cow.
track looking. The guy is phenomenal.
That's insane.
You know,
I could not do that.
and it
That
was
is
straight.
absolutely
Besides
insane.
that, you know, I
Yeah.
have a hard time getting them straight.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know?
Goodness, it'd be like this if I did it. Wow.
Anyway, so
Taking a river.
we just have good employees.
Yeah.
Makes
Yeah,
all the
that's cool.
difference in the
Oh,
world.
absolutely, it does.
So-
That's really cool.
Anyway, so that's kind of Branch Enterprises 7.
In a
Inc.
nutshell.
We actually have Branch Enterprises 1, which is the farm.
Mm-hmm.
We have Branch Enterprises 5, which is a woman-owned operation. You can guess who that is. So, you know,
Yeah.
Tanya.
Yeah.
And that's our fire.
Okay.
It's also how you get
It's
grants
all-
and other stuff too, right?
It's all based on scoring. It's all based
Yeah.
on pricing.
Yeah.
Having a woman-owned business
Sure.
makes a big difference.
Oh, it does.
So Branch Enterprises 5 is owned by. We
That's
are
awesome.
currently. I won't mention. We are currently about to launch off Branch Enterprises 3. So we'll have 1, 3, 5, and 7. Somebody asked me the other day why that. I said, well, we're all odd. That's why. But Branch Enterprises 3, we're seriously considering buying another business.
Okay.
Really?
I'm not going to say what it is because it's still in
come on,
negotiations. And it will be something entirely different from our natural resource.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because we needed something that wasn't tied to weather.
Yeah.
You know, there's people who make their living on predicting weather,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they think they're doing a good job, and for most part, probably they are.
Uh-huh.
But to be honest with you, they kind of dramatize.
Still guessing.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. But they dramatize weather. Like, oh man, it's going to snow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was told earlier today. That's going to snow tomorrow.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and that's fine if it's going to snow tomorrow. But when you make your living off of what the weather's doing, and you rely, I mean, I go through 4 or 5 different weather apps,
Sure.
and some of them on Facebook. You've heard, you know, every day to make a decision on what my guys are going to do.
we're doing this day.
Exactly. And for sure, over a course of a week, how we plan that out. Don't go dramatizing what the weather is. Just
Yeah.
give me the facts
I
and let
need
me
it
make the
straight.
decision off of it. You know,
Okay.
and that I think they kind of forget about that once in a while.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
Interesting.
great. It's their job. They're on TV
Uh-huh.
or they're on the radio. They're on social media. It's their job to make money
Yeah,
doing that.
sure.
Okay, I understand that. I really do.
So you just need something that's
don't get
not-
mad at me when
Yeah.
I go. You know, when I get mad at you. You know, I've always said the weatherman's the best job in the world because I'm right either way.
You are.
Yeah.
You're never wrong.
But I,
That's fair. Okay.
So
That's cool. I mean, you just obviously need something a little bit more steady, right, to kind of throw in with these other things.
right, and that's why we're thinking about this. It's when you do a natural resource stuff, some of our contracts might be 6 months.
Yeah.
You don't get paid for 6 months.
Sure.
Yeah.
So well, I imagine with a lot of government contract jobs, I mean,
They
you're
are. You
out,
don't get
so
paid until you're
Your
done.
cash flow is strapped in between.
Right. And so this
Okay.
this particular business will offer a little bit of cash flow for
Okay.
that, Obviously being in business for yourself, juggling, we were talking about payroll.
Yes.
As was yesterday, or today, whichever, depending on how you pay. There, you always got to plan on payroll.
Oh, yeah.
And so we sit down today, we're worried about next payroll. Today's payroll's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
We already
you're worried
spent the money there.
worried about next payroll. And you got to, okay, when is this dollar coming in?
Yeah.
How much you going to have, 10 employees,
That's a big
that's
payroll.
A significant
Yep.
to us.
I have 8.
Yeah,
so
that's a significant payroll.
it's a good number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
So it keeps you under all the government regulations, though. All those things.
Keeps the government happy.
Yeah, exactly. I told my son one time, I said, we're going to go to D.C. I want you to meet my boss.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all you seem like you're working for is the government,
That is funny.
But anyway, so.
Okay, that's really cool. That's good to know that you guys are still like looking for expansion and
We
still
are.
continuing
That's
to
awesome.
grow.
We are. You can't stop growing.
I agree fully.
Of course, my kids would love to see me retire, I think, because they want to take
Dad,
over.
get outta
And they do it, they basically, it's like today, they walked, two of them walked out of the office and started working. They got the job done. I didn't even look at the
Yeah,
job was
yeah.
You didn't
done
have
by
to
the
do
time
anything.
I saw it.
Yeah.
I don't even worry about it too much anymore.
cool.
Unless it's something new.
Sure.
Um,
Would you be running this new adventure then? Or
no,
were you
as
still
a matter of
gonna be-
fact, I'm sure. I mean, I still own
Yeah.
stock. I'm still
Yeah.
dad, or I'm still the CEO, whichever
Sure.
one you want to know.
Uh-huh.
So yes, but
You're the
no. Am
president.
I going to do this on a day-to-day basis? No.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to be me.
What's a day in the life of you like then, running the company? Because I see you a lot in here. So.
Yeah. I shouldn't say that. You get me in trouble, Tyler.
You didn't hear that.
Yeah, exactly. It's not shown anywhere now. So I'm always been an early person.
Sure.
Always.
Me too.
So if you're going by my house at 5 or 5:30 in the morning, you're probably going to see lights on.
Okay.
The only person I don't beat is the Peterson family.
They're up
Holy
pretty
smokes, those guys they get more done by 6 o'clock than everybody in the countryside.
They do a lot.
When I look out my window, they're already half done irrigating.
Yeah.
And I'm up at 5:30 or 6.
Yeah.
But anyway, great people. But and I'm kind of by the time 10 o'clock rolls around, I'm about done.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So don't expect me partying until midnight, because it ain't
Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
Good.
Not that I ever was a partier to begin with, but basically the first part of the morning is herding cats.
Okay.
You gotta get
That's
everybody
a good way to
going.
describe it. It's adult daycare. That's what it
So
is.
even though, like I said, most of the time my guys know that,
Yeah.
because what I do on Sunday night, I'll send a text to all the employees that said, "This is what your plan is for the week, for
Okay.
the whole entire week." Does it always end up on Friday? What I said, no. In fact, it's rare.
Yeah.
But at least everybody knows what they're going to do, and
the
we
goal
have
is,
we have
yeah.
a plan. So, they know how to dress, or they know what they got to have for whether they're spraying weeds, they got to have their PPE, or they're spraying whatever it happens
Sure.
to be.
Okay.
And then, so most of the time, the morning is consistent of getting everybody lined out,
Okay.
what they got to have. I would assume by noon, everybody's gone or doing their job by then.
You'd hope so anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That's the truth. So long as you don't have a flat tire or
Yeah.
a broken down pickup or whatever it happens to be.
Any
those
number of day-to-day
exactly,
things. Yeah.
Exactly. And so by noon, I'm pretty much, rounding things up and
Okay.
getting ready for the next day. I'm actually, I have always been somebody who looked out.
Yeah.
Looked forward. I don't hardly ever look back.
Good.
When I look back, like I told Tyler a while back, when I look back, I'm old enough, I don't know where to stop. So
he did say to me earlier.
So I look forward. And,
that.
you got to look back so you don't make the same mistakes.
Sure,
But I'm
yeah.
primarily a looking forward guy.
I like that.
That's one reason why I said I'm not going to retire. I can't think of myself retiring. I can think of
no.
taking some more time off to go fishing and hunting and
Yeah.
traveling my life. But
There you
I
go.
got a snowmobile too.
Yeah.
I love snowmobiling. That's just always
We talked
have.
about that at
Yeah,
length the other
exactly.
day.
But and so by noon, I'm starting to wrap up for the next day.
Okay.
I spend a lot of time in a pickup, and going from job to job. I tell my guys, it is my job to get the work. It is your job to keep it. You guys, I can't.
good way to
I
look at
can't make a good. I can't do a good job spraying weeds because I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll find the job. You do it. Whether we get that customer back is entirely upon my employees, not me.
That's fair.
That's
that is
true.
a great way to look at it.
So I actually have a sign, and it hangs in the shed or the shop
Yeah.
that says, I'll get the job, you keep it, and that's how
like
it
that.
works.
I
That's
do
how it
like
works.
that.
Because
That's true.
I'm not
Start
doing the
using
job, and and I have the employees right now that are doing the job. They're doing it right.
Fair. Good.
So that's
cool.
kind of my
Yeah.
life.
Okay.
Somewhere through there, I come in here
Yeah.
with my grandson.
You do, yes.
I have
Hanging
a
out, getting some
couple. I have-
candy and finger steaks, whatever
Exactly,
you're doing for the
exactly.
day.
I have 3 grandsons and 1 granddaughter who are almost always at my house.
Okay.
So technically,
Yeah, he's got-
their parents are employees.
Sure.
So we provide daycare.
New daddy daycare.
Very
Exactly.
nice.
I have 2 granddaughters. I actually have an 18-year-old granddaughter. I have one. She's going to graduate from high school this
Oh,
year.
wow.
That
That's
is my
cool.
first and oldest one.
Okay.
She's the only one that son and that family are the only ones that don't live here.
Ah, okay.
So I have not got to see them anywhere near as much over the
Yeah.
course of their life as I see Oliver
Sure.
on a daily basis,
Yeah.
or Austin or Riker, or Sadie is my granddaughter that I see on I see them, if not daily, pretty much daily.
Yeah.
Really close.
That's cool.
Oliver
really
was the first of those local ones, so he's the one most everybody knows because he's been going around with me for almost 4 years now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And he can tell you what a backhoe is. He can tell you what a track hoe is.
That's
He
cool.
can tell you what a Kubota is. It's a Kubota because we had a hard time teaching him how to say it. So it's a Kubota.
That's
It's like
awesome. Yeah.
we live next to a famous buffalo ranch.
Yes, you do.
And it's a buffalo because we try to teach him to say buffalo. So it's a buffalo.
That's so
it's like
funny.
Kubota. But,
That's so funny.
he's funny. He's but he and he can tell you the way to.
Yeah.
Way to the rock store or Hawaii grocery
Yeah, yeah.
because he
That
knows
is
that's
the
where
most important thing to know.
Yeah, that's where he knows that's where the candy's at.
Oh,
It is.
yeah.
So
That's
he's
so
disappointed you don't have the little alligator and
Okay,
you
I'll
know,
get those in. I got to do my order today. So
alligator and what's the other one? Must be a T-Rex or something.
yeah, there's like
but-
little T-Rex chomps. There's frog
heads,
ones.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
So he's
so
disappointed that you
Okay.
don't have those. 'Cause
All
we were
right.
here today looking for them.
funny. There's froggy ones.
Yeah,
and
the
there's not as
ones just
good.
don't cut
Those-
it. He wants
yeah, those don't do it.
You gotta have the
Okay.
you gotta have the dinosaur
I'll
one,
add
man.
them to my list.
I
Sorry,
actually,
buddy.
he's big time into dinosaurs.
That's
In fact, I was
awesome.
going to buy one of those little Sinclair dinosaurs, the green ones. You know,
Uh-huh.
that you see.
Yeah,
I thought,
yeah.
I want to buy one of those and put it in the yard for the grandkids. Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah, not a chance.
There are a lot of
Not
dollars
a
going on.
chance.
To those.
Yeah.
I said, I don't think they ever, I'm not spending no $2,000 for a dinosaur
They're-
the kids can play
Yeah.
on.
They're pretty proud of those. Yeah.
So,
That's funny.
But anyway, so that's
cool.
we thoroughly enjoy having our family as part of it.
Yeah.
It's
Sometimes they say it's tough to work with family, but if you figure it out, it's awesome,
it's
right?
Yeah. I think we have. I mean, I'm obviously narrow-minded about it because I'm the boss too.
Yeah.
And there's times we struggle.
Oh, I bet.
We've always. I have to give my wife credit for this because she's always made sure that family was first. As far as we may be in business together, but we're still a family.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we gotta go home to our families. And then you wind up with in-laws. I got
Yeah.
2 daughter-in-laws. I got 2 sons-in-law. And they are. There's complexity there also.
Oh, yeah. It's a whole
as
nother layer.
Yeah, a whole nother layer. I have to. One of the guys I idolize when it comes to that is the Barlows. The Barlows have made a family work for a long, long time.
They have.
And outward appearances, they appear to make it work.
Sure.
And I'm not privy to the everyday meeting that they have,
Yeah.
But from an outward appearance, WBH is another one.
They do great as well,
You see them, they tend to get along, they tend to get the job done.
Of course.
There's, it
They
can
have their
work.
snippets, but they also
Sure, we all do. But, we
doesn't?
have
Yeah.
snippets when
Yeah.
you aren't family
Yeah.
business, too.
Just as much,
The
yeah.
difference is you can walk away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's fair. You
now-
don't got to see them outside of work.
Exactly.
They have to sit around the turkey table at the end
Yeah,
of the day.
exactly. So we've, when we went bankrupt, there was a lot of hard feelings
Sure.
in family, and it took a lot of years to get over that.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're looking at 25 years ago almost.
Yeah, wow, that's a long time.
I could tell you that a lot of what we do is still, I told you, that was the worst part of my
Still
life.
in the back of your mind when you're
a
doing
lot of what I
something.
do, concentrate on making sure we never do that again.
Yeah.
So even to the point that sometimes I don't make a decision because I don't have all the information I want.
That's fair.
And there may not be any more information out there, but my gut tells me, hey, we don't want to.
Let's not do that.
That's
fair.
So anyway,
That's cool. Well, that's really cool.
So
Well, thank you, Dave, for
My
sharing all that
pleasure.
information.
Yeah,
thank you
I
so
think we
much.
got a good plethora of stuff for all of our listeners to
Yeah.
go over. So
yeah.
I'm excited
really
for
cool.
your next future adventures.
Yes.
well,
Can't
if
wait
you're
to
looking,
hear about it.
if you want to be a drone pilot, come see me. All right.
You got it. I'm pretty clumsy as it is, so I don't think you want me to
Oh,
go
okay.
anywhere
Yeah.
near your
Alright.
drones.
So, but anyway, no, we like I said, phenomenal employees. We make
That's
it work,
cool.
and we are willing to do. I'm excited to do anything new. I really am.
Yeah,
and
that's
if you
awesome.
got a project you think.
Yeah, you guys can be
hey,
on.
maybe
yeah.
they might be interested in this. Guaranteed, I'd be interested
All
in
right.
it.
That's
so,
good to
Good
know.
to know.
That's awesome.
Unfortunately, I still got to make money.
You do.
Right.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
Don't
I
we
would,
all?
I would love to.
I love
one of
capitalism.
the best things I ever done. One of the funnest things I ever did. And I'm sure there are people who would be mad. I was on the school board in
Yeah.
NISA for a long time.
Yes, you were.
I thoroughly enjoyed being on the
Yeah,
school board.
I remember that.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. That's all I
Yeah.
can say.
Yeah.
That's cool.
One of the reasons I quit was because I was going to start some other
Sure.
political. The
Endeavors.
landscape has not been such that I thought was ready to go yet.
Sure.
But, pardon me, that's something. A school board, if you're going to do it right, takes a lot of time,
Oh, yeah.
and there's not a lot of pay.
No.
Yeah.
It
It's
is
zero.
zero.
Yeah, it's free.
And some people tell me if you have a business, don't get on a school board because there will be people who are mad at you not step foot in your business.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Pardon me.
but
Fortunately, my business.
it's kind of a
95%
lot separate from what most people
I
do.
don't have a frontage store. I don't have a place where people are going to
so it
walk
didn't
in.
Sure.
So 90%
Well-
of what I do is government or quasi government.
Yeah.
So it really didn't. It really
Yeah.
wasn't that way.
Sure.
But anyway, so as far as
So you got- you
giving
got
any
a
of your
good side
time, I gave a lot of my time.
Yeah,
but
you
not
did.
that I'm done yet. By no,
No, of
means.
course not. That's
Um,
really cool.
So
Well,
anyway,
thank you for serving the community. Thank you for serving this country.
Don't worry. Remember, my service is not done.
Your
so-
service is not done. That's why I said serving.
Yeah,
You're
there you
still,
go.
you're
There you
still
go.
in process.
So,
I love
all right.
that.
Thanks, Tyler, for the
Yes,
invitation.
absolutely.
I really,
Of
Guys,
course,
had
we've
a good
enjoyed
time.
having you
Guys,
on.
My
look,
pleasure.
look up Branch Enterprises. This is Dave Bunker, and this
right.
is episode 17. I think I said 18.
I think you said 18.
18.
One of
episode
those.
18.
yeah, you've said it both times, so
I'm
we
sure.
don't know for
I
sure.
don't know. I'll look at the beginning of the video.
We'll know when it posts.
There you go.
Well, as always, everybody, keep,
Keep
it
it
local.
local.